going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Says podcast. I am your host, as always, Garrett Williams, and joining me today, I've got my two usual co-hosts back in the swing of things here. First, we've got Kyle Henning. Kyle, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm actually honestly pretty tired today, but that's because I'm just landed a little bit ago from vacation, just got home, so getting back into things, ready to get going here though, so ready to do this with you fellas tonight.
Yes, sir. And also joining us, of course, ArrowheadTom. How are we doing today, Tom?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm excited to be back, and lots has happened since the last time we were all together. I've lost about 2 pounds of hair off my face, and I've been thinking we should maybe come up with a catchphrase for the podcast. So I'm looking here at a list of like catchphrases we could rip off.
Okay.
Let's start the episode with some
what do we got here?
copyright infringement. How's that sound? Let's come back and get taken down right away.
Hey, let's start with a bang.
Let's see. I mean, we go with the classic, right? McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Kingdom Says. Yes? No?
Are we talking jingle or catchphrase?
That's kind of jingle.
I mean, like it's kind of both. I mean, that one sang.
Yeah, you need to sing that one for sure for the full.
Let's see. I'm still smiling. Even every kiss begins with not K, but Kingdom Says podcast.
Yeah.
We will
That's
hear that.
there.
We will get you kissed. That's the thing.
Oh.
Gotta
now
catch them all.
offering a dating
Pokemon?
service apparently coming soon. I have news.
Yeah.
Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. How about gotta listen to them all?
Gotta
Support the boys.
Kingdom Says gotta listen to them all.
Yeah, exactly.
These are classics.
Just do it.
Oh,
right?
no, nobody knows where that's from. I'm sure those folks would
Kingdom
not
Says
knock
podcast.
down our door at any point. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Hey, it's not like I didn't steal. There's Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. It's the happiest podcast on earth.
Yeah.
And now we probably
there's the
offended the
quote in the
mouse.
Super Bowl ring, right? That
No.
was similar.
So
to that
let's see.
quote.
Let me get this straight. You've now managed to irritate Nike and the mouse. Yeah, we're done. See you guys later.
Yep, we're done. Yep. Well,
I don't know about
thanks
that.
for all the support, guys. Once I am just, you'll be like, where'd ArrowheadTom go? And they're gonna be like, we don't talk about it. That's just
the big.
no. We're back, and it's good to be back, guys.
It is. It is very good to be back. Obviously, it's been a couple months since the last time we saw you guys. It was before the draft. We've had a lot of stuff going on in our lives. Just focusing up, readjusting, and
Lots of
getting
things
ready to-
changed.
Yeah, there's a lot
A lot
of
has
changes.
changed, and yeah.
But really, we're just looking forward to the 2023 season upcoming for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here, we've got a lot in plans for this.
Speaking
season.
of changes,
Yeah, we've got some changes going on. What do we want to start with first, fellas? What should we start with?
So, just so our listeners at home know, if you're not watching us, our videos on YouTube, because we are on there, we're going to be producing shorts and that type of thing. Just so you know, for those who are just listening, we all three of us have agreed to do these shows for the 2023 exclusively in the nude. And so if you're not watching the videos, you're missing out.
I'm just saying. You gotta at least find out.
I do have Travis Kelce mural shaved into my chest hair. So if you're not watching, you're missing out.
You are missing out right now. That is beautiful.
That is factually accurate.
It is glorious.
You're also definitely missing out on my raccoon eyes that I'm sporting from vacation from the sunglasses that I wore the entire trip, apparently.
Apparently
So you can
not.
clearly
You
see
can
there's a significant difference in my face.
Yeah.
So if you're missing that, you should also be checking us out on YouTube. And
Luckily not too
I mean, I'm
at the moment.
like, I guess partially naked, and my shirt doesn't have sleeves.
Yeah, we're all naked under these clothes. But anyways,
Everyone is.
let's talk. Let's start with the most the relevant change that is not just something we've been planning, but also the birth of a new social media platform, which we are now on, and just talking about. We've gone through a lot of changes, but I think the landscape of content creation and I live in Kansas City. I kind of joke with people. I said, yeah, I've got I'm on a Chiefs podcast like me and everybody else that it's a popular format for content creators, and we are blessed to have a lot of people in this space with us who do great work. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit later about our boys over at Kingdom Cast and some of the stuff that they're doing. But
boys and girl. Kylie's over there too.
Oh yeah, boys and girl. Sorry, Kylie, my bad. There's a lot of great content creators in our space, but also, you know, we want to offer something unique. But let's talk about the social media changes. Like I said, we've got the birth of the Threads social media platform, which has
Threads is here.
shot
it's
into
new.
existence.
It's different.
It is new. It is different. You know, without getting too overly involved, we've kind of come out. You know, we've seen in the last couple months a lot of the changes on Twitter. Not, and I don't mean that in a political. I don't care what you think of Elon Musk or whatever, but just again from a purely
functionality change.
Yeah, app functionality, algorithm, view changes that
interaction.
I don't
changes.
think we're abandoning the ship.
No,
I know it has handicapped us and a lot of other content creators, especially those who are. I mean, we're still relatively young as a platform.
Extremely, in compared to some of our friends and some of the folks in this game that have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and we're a small team here right now. We're 3 people, although we'll talk more about that later. We're just 3 people and a dog, and well, I guess 2 dogs. Yeah, a couple dogs.
He's asleep behind me at the moment.
I got that dog in me, so.
Yeah, there's one in this.
Garrett's got
there's your catchphrase. That's Garrett's favorite thing on earth.
Yeah.
The Kingdom Says podcast. We got the dog. We got the dogs. It's like Arby's. We got the beefs, but we got the dogs.
We got the dogs.
We got the dogs. So yeah, we just want to acknowledge that a lot has changed. So Garrett, you're savvy and you kind of know. Let's just recap real quick where everybody can find us at in terms of where our social medias are at, and then we'll talk about the newest one that we've added, not Threads, but the other platform that's a little more expansive. We'll save that towards the end.
Beyond, but yeah, obviously, like Tom was saying, Twitter is one of the biggest platforms for us, and is a great platform for all kinds of content creation. It's just the past few months it has been looking different, and the future of Twitter is definitely uncertain at this point in time. So obviously you can still follow us at Kingdom Says Pod over on Twitter. We will be pumping out a lot of content there, and then also over on Threads, the new Meta created kind of version of Twitter that very new, very it's got a lot. It's very raw.
What are we? 48 hours in?
Something like that.
Something like that. Very raw app, but there's that potential that if Twitter isn't around forever, that might be an alternative. So obviously we got Kingdom Says Pod on both those. We got Facebook still. That is a big one for a lot of you guys listen via Facebook. Kingdom Says Pod on there as well. Instagram, Kingdom Says Pod. That'll be kind of hand in hand with Threads going forward. We got a TikTok. That's a big thing to look out for. Future of our content. TikTok's Kingdom Says Pod as well, I do believe.
I'm learning the dances. That's the delay, guys. I don't know all the dances yet, but I'm working on it.
Tom's trying. He's been in the basement.
Garrett and Kyle have paid for me to go to dance class.
Yeah,
I got 3 out of the first one, but we're getting there.
So on that same note that Garrett's talking about, the TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram is going to have some content on it that is likely not going to be available in other platforms because of the format of those platforms. So the way that they're built, the way that these things work, we're going to be having some content that's geared for those areas so that you guys are getting a full grouping of information, stuff from us, maybe some fun stuff too. There'll be some fun stuff. And some different ways to interact and communicate with us and share your ideas and your thoughts with us. The YouTube channel that Tom mentioned earlier, and where you guys can see us. There's gonna be a lot of stuff on there that we're doing. For example, there will be live shows to where you guys can chat with us, talk with us in the comments, give us feedback during the show. Throw your thing in there, we'll pull it up on screen like you see with a lot of shows. It's something we've talked about doing. We had waited because we were trying to get the YouTube channel expanded. We're there now. That's something. And then of course, with everything that when we grow a bunch of stuff and we come up with some new stuff, we're also going to be adding some new things that you guys haven't seen from us before. So, and we'll get into that throughout the show here, because that's basically what we're going to do for a lot of this tonight, is kind of get everybody up to speed on what's coming, where we're going, and then also talk about some of the little stuff that's taking place in our hiatus. It's the off season, so A lot of it is superficial conversations about things and
it's a very
some stuff like
manufactured
that.
time.
But it is what it is. It's part of the deal. It's part of what this is. So there's still conversations to be had. There's some news if you follow tea leaf. If you're a tea leaves person, we can go down that road a little bit. I don't want to go too deep because again, it's July 6th and camp doesn't start for another 13, 14 days. So we still got time.
Which is essentially an eternity.
That's a long time still.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tea leaves to unpack. There's a lot of things that we can share. Let's let the proverbial cat out of the bag, I guess. And we're going to talk about this before we have it fully ready, but we'll be up and running here soon. So we are building a Discord server. Well, it is built. We're kind of dressing it up right now.
We're fine tuning it. The bones are all there. Everything's kind of structured out. Now we just need to add in some things that we think we're missing. Maybe get rid of some stuff we don't need, and then we can start getting you guys in there. And once that happens, if you guys have suggestions or stuff you'd like to see, we're open to suggestions to expanding that Discord out, because the Discord community and what it offers is it offers a lot more contact with you guys and us. It allows us to interact with you guys. It allows you guys to have conversations amongst yourselves, with us involved, being able to interact with one another and with us, so that we can also cover and talk about a lot of the stuff you guys want to talk about and want to hear about and want to see. So it'll allow us to do some different things with some of these different shows. This show, spoiler alert, there might be some other shows involved with us. But this specific show, this specific podcast will still kind of have its same format and kind of its same structure, but we will be, the three of us will also make this a more available interactive show at points with different timed episodes, and we'll try to get it to where it's pretty consistent for you guys so that you guys know where to find us when we're there for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, the biggest thing that we want with the Discord is to build a community of just Chiefs fans to add discussion into things, to really allow the connection between us and the audience, and just sharing ideas and really just having a good time, kind of uniting the kingdom here. So that should be hopefully launching very soon, once we start getting back into the swing of things here. And
we will be coming back to you regularly now. We are back. It is time to go, because like I said,
in case you didn't see the press release we issued earlier,
we are back
in the week. We are back.
And training camp, like, it's 14 days away, which is forever in contract talks, but as far as this stuff is concerned, it's not. It's right around the corner. So we're gearing up and getting ready to go again for another shot at another Lombardi for the Chiefs this year, just like all the other 32 teams and all their content team, or 31 teams and their content creators and everybody else. So it's about time for that. The machine never really stops, because the NFL's mastered how to dominate a calendar 12 months out of the year.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, this is the time where you start to fire the engines back up and everybody gets going full bore.
Yeah, and so just going back to the Discord thought, and like Garrett said, we want this to be a community, not just, for our fans, for our listeners, for other Chiefs content creators. Like I said, there's a lot of people in this space who are extremely talented. There are people that we have been fortunate enough to build some great relationships with, and we could go down the list. But one of the benefits of the Discord, this is, nothing is guaranteed, especially as content creators, right? A lot of this stuff, we rely on these different platforms, and we're kind of experiencing this with Twitter. Not to bring up other things, but we have a friend, Mike, who's at Draft Maverick on Twitter, who dealt with the pains of creating a product on somebody else's platform and relying on that. So shout out to Mike. If you are not following him, if you're not keeping
he does great work, guys.
Yeah,
legitimately fantastic work, and he
ball
busts his ass, and he's getting obstacles and walls thrown in his face by a platform that it's mind blowing that's what's happening, but it's what's happening. So
yeah. And now, even though Discord is none of us here own Discord, well, that'd be
No.
nice. It does let us kind of regulate and police our groups a little bit more and create some barriers and do and be a little bit more intentional about those interactions.
Yeah. It
Um,
also gives us actions to you guys that allow
mhm,
you to do some things that we can't necessarily do on other platforms.
mhm,
There's some functions and features in Discord that allow us to give you guys some things that we can't do on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And
mhm,
it's not a fault of those platforms. That's just not what they're built for. It
mhm.
can't be done on there. So it's a huge thing to really let us custom build an experience for you guys, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Mhm. Yeah, then there's a lot of things that we could run through Discord that whether those are fantasy football leagues or
Yeah.
everyone's going to draft Patrick Mahomes 1-1. I get it. Or this is totally off topic, but this might be the first Madden that I've actually been interested in years, and so it's coming out like it's football
Wow.
season, guys, and this is the best time of the year for us, and we're all excited, and we.
There's
The name of our
pools, there's
podcast,
week-long stuff. Like there's all kinds of things we
yeah,
can do as long as
all the gambling stuff that
we can
Kyle.
get it and that part right there. So the fantasy and the betting side, it's really hard to do that stuff on some of these other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
In there, we can do that kind of stuff real easy where you guys can see it and have access to it, and we can discuss it, and if maybe you guys see something and that can be done differently than it can be done on like Twitter or Facebook, because in there it's a lot more direct. It's a lot easier to have those conversations, and it's a lot easier to have in-depth discussions because there's no character limits really. There's no a lot of the things you run into with a lot of these other platforms, there's not really any of that. It's more of a free form community of what we want it to be, and that's why we've decided to go down that road and build this, take the time to build this thing out and get you guys involved in it.
Yeah, much more
Yeah,
curated
that's a.
experience of
Mhm.
interacting with people and sharing our content, and just you can just get so much more in depth with it and
It also
gauge
allows us to let
responses
you
and
guys see other people that we work with that you may only see on here for an episode. You can find their work in there easier because we're going to be able to give them our whole section to where they
yeah.
can put their stuff to where you guys can see it and find it. And that's what we want because man, this group, Tom mentioned it at the beginning of the show, the group that does this stuff on the whole is a pretty good group of people. We've had the privilege of getting to meet and spend time and talk to a lot of the folks in this space that do this. Not all of them, because there's a ton of people, and we can't wait to meet a bunch of the rest of them. But with the ones that we've gotten to spend time with, it's been a great experience, and we all want to help each other and build each other and all give you guys content that you guys want to see, but also not give everybody the same stuff from
Mhm.
everybody, because otherwise then we all sound, it's an echo chamber and we all sound the same and say this, and that's pointless. So
Yeah, and like I said, we've been, like I said, just very fortunate to have the relationships that we have been able to build
yeah,
in the content creator arena. But just to kind of, I guess, wrap up, unless Garrett wants to add, but I'll just say this: the name of our podcast is The Kingdom Says, and we are not the only members of the kingdom. In fact,
we'd like to hear from y'all.
Yeah, we want it to be a collective voice. We don't just want it to be me and Kyle fighting over whether or not the Chiefs should have drafted Jonathan Taylor over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, mostly because we already know who's right and who's wrong in that conversation, but it's fine.
But do we? Because
Because we have Isaiah Pacheco,
but that's fine.
and it all worked out, and we don't have to worry about
See, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah, exactly as it was planned. What wasn't planned was Garrett disappearing from the screen right now,
which means I got to sit up a little taller so my
yeah,
head's
all right,
actually in the box.
We've been
We'll be fine.
bisected. So while Garrett's gone, let's take this opportunity just to talk some trash about Garrett.
Absolutely, yeah, that's
No,
perfect. No, we won't do that. It's
uh,
really hard to talk trash about him because he's so
Yeah.
freaking helpful all the time and
He
so
is,
good at what he does.
Yeah, Garrett's like, oh, we're just here talking. I was just say, yeah, he's something you don't know if you're not. Well, you probably can't tell this from Just looking, I remember the day I realized that I was the shortest member of our podcast, 6'2". And I met Kyle, and then I met Garrett, and I met Garrett recently. He was out here for the draft, and I was like, it's so weird to hang out. I mean, like, my brothers are taller than me, but normally I'm not.
You're one of the bigger guys in the room, right?
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a little annoying. We are the tallest We are the tallest podcast.
As far as I know, yeah.
Kingdom. Yeah. Although I will say I got to hang out with Jason Dunn from Chief Concerns.
I don't know if that counts.
I know that doesn't count, but I will tell you what, he gave me a little dap me up and all that stuff, and like I leaned into him and I was like, oh my god, I could like that was like it was just like it was a friendly like hug.
It's a different
if that
size
man blocked
human.
me, I would not exist anymore.
Yeah,
if he came at me like with full, I would be obliterated.
And that's now, guys. That's not when he was in his playing shape.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was shout out to Jason.
So on that same note, I heard Times Ours talk about this because the favorite content right now is: would you take $1 million or would you take 10 million to try and get if you could get 5 yards in the NFL? Guys, if you've been to Arrowhead and been anywhere near the field or near the players or gone to training camp, I think y'all all know the answer to that question. Take the free money. Because you're, by the way, and Seth Kaiser brought up an excellent point. On at least one of however many carries they're going to give you, you're going to lose like 30 yards, okay? And at least a couple of the other times, you're going to fumble, and I don't even know how many negative yards that counts for. So
listen, I'll make it real easy. I'm gonna break myself on the first carry. I'm not gonna get the other 4.
And I've heard injuries don't happen. And Travis, I think Travis Kelce mentioned this on New Heights. Yeah, the injuries don't happen, but the mental demoralization of getting turned into a pancake does.
Here. All right, let me twist this because here's what I will ask because this is more my skill level. All right, would you take $1 million or with 1 week of practice and 3 attempts in a game, all 3 of them are high pressure, game-winning situations. You're not kicking the field goal. You're holding the ball.
Nope. I'll take the money.
You literally have the most minimal job on a football field at any given point.
I don't think a lot of people understand the amount of time, reps, and practice it takes to be as clinical and surgical as you have to be with holding of guys.
That's why you
thousands and you can't do 15 years of holding in a week, Tom. You can't do it. You can't. It's not a thing. If you haven't done it, because remember, everybody thinks the holder's job easy, but if that snapper's snap isn't perfect to your hand where you can just set it down,
you get 3 attempts. 3 attempts.
That's great. I'm still taking the money. There's no way. No, because you have to make sure you have the ball down at the right angle. You have to make sure you have the laces where they're supposed to be. You have to make sure you have it down in time, which, by the way, most people don't realize that clock is real short from the time you're supposed to catch it and put it on the ground to the time that kicker's foot is hitting the ball.
You have zero room for
there's a reason that those guys do. They call them specialists for a reason, guys. Specialists. There's a reason that's the only 8 activities that they do during a week. That's it.
Get my head above the line here. We'll talk.
That's the whole key. I don't know why that's so professional sports. Let me put it like this. I played hockey my entire life at a really high level. If you asked me if I could have $1 million or I could score on it, or I could have 20 if I scored on an NHL goalie, I'm taking $1 million every time. Every time. There's no chance. No way. You might get lucky on 1 billion attempts, but these guys aren't. It's a different level. It's a different universe.
Mm-hmm.
And like you talked about, when you get to be around a couple of these dudes or see these guys up close, it's drastically different once you realize those collisions on that field are like car accidents in pads. We've talked about it on this show some. people don't realize what these guys do because this is nothing against 40 years ago's era, but dude, these guys know the medical, the physical science, they're so much bigger, faster, and the average guy is so much bigger, faster, and stronger than the average guy even 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Just from the advancements in understanding diet and nutrition and workouts and how to prepare and how to recover and all that. It's not the same game.
Yeah. See, I think the other mistake is, like, if you just offer me $1 million, or like, unless the question is, do you want $1 million or $3 million? I'm just gonna take the $1 million.
Exactly.
I think you need to adjust the amount you're getting paid. So, like, if it was $1,000 or $3 million, right? Then I might risk it.
The holding question, I would risk it. The rest of that shit, I'm still taking the G.
What are we talking about here? Sorry, my internet.
We were improvising.
We were improvising while you were gone. We were talking about some of the main content clickbait poll right now. Would you take $1 million for this, or try to gain 5 yards, or score 20 points in an NBA game, or hit a fastball?
Come on, guys, I'm gaining 5 yards. Come on.
What happens when you lose 20 on the first carry? Now you gotta gain 25 yards.
Yeah, all of us have that dog in him.
I mean, not much more to say on that part. No, it's a new season. My internet's still trash, though. Isn't that crazy?
We're fixing that too, guys. Don't worry. That's getting remedied also.
We've set up a GoFundMe. Our goal is $10,000. 200 of that's going to go to Garrett's internet router, and the other 9,800 is going to operation expenses. You can just make that out to me.
Yeah.
I do need a new car, but that's another conversation for another time, not the podcast.
My AC doesn't work, so.
Hey, mine too. Anyways, so speaking of that, let's talk about how you guys could, real quick, how you can support the podcast.
My AC used to work.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I think collectively, the three of us, we're not the type of guys who, like, we would love this to be our day job and for this to be everything, but we are also the type of guys who are going to sit here and beg you to follow. And I think we've mentioned at the end of every episode, because we're supposed to. We are not the type of guys that are going to. I'm not going to sit here and spam you and try to. And even I think, as we've learned a little bit about like how all this works and engagement. Just sincerely, I think and maybe we do need to be better in terms of the interactions, but Kyle just mentioned like the clickbaity stuff. We don't want to be.
I hate it.
We want to have genuine conversation, right? We were talking about that pre-show about some of the other experiences we've had in different places, and part of our child right now, right? This is our stuff, and so we, and I have a philosophy that I adapted from somebody that I respect in a work environment, which is, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you. And so, we're here to provide you with the best content we can, whether you hate us or love us. So that said, we just ask if you appreciate the podcast, if you like the interactions, even if you don't listen, even if you're, an irregular listener, or you're friends with us, from some other social media, whatever it is. Do us a favor, like our stuff, share our stuff. That's all great. We, follow us and all that stuff. But the other big thing, and this goes back to the Discord, like just interact with us, right? Ask us questions. Tell us you're listening. Leave us, I know the reviews on the podcast are a big deal for like the Apple stores and all that. And again, we're not going to be here.
Review. Apple, that's all they eat off of.
I don't think any of us are going to sit here and shill and ask you to review and beg for reviews, but man, that stuff goes a long way. And I'll be honest, I don't even look at that stuff because that's how far away my mind is when it comes to this podcast. Garrett and Kyle have been, the three of us, I think, have just enjoyed talking ball and going on this adventure together. Yeah. But in terms of the stuff that we're doing, we've got big dreams, and that will eventually, we can only grow as far as we can. There's a scaling effect that comes. Like I said, there's
it's all about you guys.
Yeah. So
if I'll say this, we won't shill, we won't do that. But if you really want to help us, the thing that's going to drive growth and allow other people to find us and allow other people to see us and allow other people get involved and build this community the way we want and we hope you guys want is the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're going to be doing a lot of things on there that allow you guys to interact with us. It's one of the more interactive platforms that's out there. Discord is going to be very interactive too, and that's one of the ways that we'll be able to kind of marry those together and give you guys a full package. So just that one's big right now because of we just launched the page. We're really just now giving you guys video, but we have a ton of stuff that's going to be coming out video wise, and in order to get you guys to see it and get everybody else to see it and have people that really want to talk about this stuff with everybody that listens to us, we got to get it to more people, and that's one of the ways we do it is through those YouTube likes and the subs.
Yeah.
Turn them on, like it, sub, share it when you can, just little stuff like that. If you like what you're listening to, if you hate it, tell us what you don't like. We're open to hear what you guys don't like.
YouTube is great for. You got comment section right there. You got likes and dislikes,
and we'll fight you.
And that'll be the same thing with
in the parking lot. And we will, like I said, we're the tallest podcast in Chiefs Kingdom.
That's probably.
You tell us we don't like you.
That is probably true.
We got the reach advantage. So
the average height of this podcast is far higher than I think a lot of people realize it is.
Yeah, like the podcast or else. No, seriously though, if you send me a screenshot, you reach out on any of the socials, send me a screenshot of you liking, sharing, reviewing the podcast. I will send you an exclusive picture of Scout. So
that's a good deal right there.
There's the only feeling I'm going
Scout.
to do.
He is the best. But
yeah,
biggest thing, folks, we really do appreciate all the support, and we wouldn't be continuing to do this if we didn't love it, we wouldn't have taken this thing so long if we didn't love talking Chiefs, love talking ball, and we like to do it with you guys, And so, let us know, reach out, give us some love. We're gonna keep on doing this thing until we don't want to anymore, and that's happening anytime soon. So
I feel like that's gonna be a while since most of us have been part of this fan base. Since it was not so fun to be a part of this fan base.
I couldn't imagine doing a podcast back in the Brody Croyle, Matt Castle days,
Oh, I can, but it wouldn't have been anything like this.
It would have been very
Listen,
fun. It's a lot easier to be motivated when you're defending.
I would have been. I'm telling you though, I missed my opportunity because that draft content would have been fire at that time period because that's all we had. It's like, all right, who's gonna be the top 5 pick this year? Oh, Tyson Jackson. Oh, I could have went on. That would have given me a whole off season of rants. We went Tyson Jackson. Jackson. I would have looked like an idiot because I would have been like Tyson Jackson over Aaron Curry. But still, point being. That was the only time.
Big Jonathan
Tom,
fan.
You just said draft content. Should we start letting everybody know what some of the new stuff is that we're gonna have for them now?
Yeah, so Kyle and Garrett got so tired of me talking about the draft during the show.
A little bit.
I just in February, 5 minutes after the Super Bowl ended, but other than that, no, I think we've been.
So no, it's all right. I was texting you guys about 2024 prospects
in March,
the weekend. No, before the draft ended.
Oh yeah, I know.
We were talking about. I think Garrett. I don't know if we were talking about when we were in town, but I was looking them up. So we are we're adding a show to the lineup. We're adding, and this is when you talk about the creation and the interaction side of this is huge. So we are adding a show or a series, whatever, kind of an umbrella. Yeah. And it's going to be known as Kingdom Recon, which is really sweet. I feel super like you're going to see me. I'm going to be wearing night vision goggles during the whole show. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to have like the tactical vest, and it's going to look ridiculous. But the whole idea is going to be, focusing on obviously draft prospects, team building, free agency, trade stuff, all that stuff. We talk about the roster construction, right? Almost trying to get in the head of Brett Veach. We have recruited.
Some great.
Recruited. We offered them absolutely no compensation at all. Just out of sheer goodwill and
be friends like we have been for a while.
Yeah. So Josh Wingate, who is not a Chiefs fan, you guys should know that out the gate, but
he's going to give you some different perspectives than you're going to hear from a lot of folks about players because he is not a Chiefs fan. One of the things we really wanted on this show was some other viewpoints because we've looked around. Tom can tell you that when you break down specific to one team, there's a tendency, and it's hard to stop, of getting into this kind of groupthink thing where, 7 or 8 people who do this, who watch this team, who cover this, see this guy, and they're like, this is the guy. But I'll tell you right now, if you go pull up Mr. Wingate's receipts about Nick Bolton, when there were a lot of folks who were not on the Nick Bolton train, he was hammering the table for Nick Bolton. I believe there's a quote. I believe there's a quote. He thought he was the best player in the draft that year in that position.
It would not. Yeah, no, he saved me because this is true. Like, I was not a big Nick Bolton guy, but I remember Josh going, this is a good play. And I was like, so maybe I'll hold off on some takes. I didn't put any tweets out there or anything out there that might be embarrassing later on. Not that anybody else in Chiefs Twitter has done that. Shout out.
No, nobody. We're not talking about that. We love you, Zach. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we love you, Zach. Sorry.
Sorry about the stray. That was not supposed to be a stray. But
so Josh is knowledgeable. Like I said, I'm excited. The other addition to our team is Randy Ellenberger. It's his Twitter handle at Randy Ellenberger, ELENBERGER. He's currently Chief of the North, not to be confused with Chief in the North.
In the North, Mr. Seth Kaiser.
So he is a true blue, I guess true red Kansas City Chiefs fan, and he is also just a wealth of knowledge about the game of football. He's got a coaching background, loves the Chiefs, follows college ball. But to be honest, both, the guys that we reached out to, all of them were guys. There was 2 things I was looking for. One, did I respect their opinions and their process and that kind of thing? But 2, I looked for guys that also, like Kyle said, kind of getting away from that group thing. And what I'm most excited about between Josh, Randy, and I is we're going to get into some arguments about some draft prospects, and that's going to be fun. And so the same thing applies. That's where we want your voices to be part of those conversations. We want, again, whether you think Nick Bolton is the best linebacker in the draft, or if you think he's overrated, whatever you think, we want those conversations because the more perspectives, just the more interactions, the more we can see. I mean, I think, there are times. I'll use another example, and he's doing his own thing. I can't recruit him, but we'll definitely get him on the show. But Dan Harms, we had him on midseason last year, and we were talking about some different prospects, and I remember bringing up Andre Carter out of Army kind of early on, and Dan said some things, and I went back, and I was like, in the moment, I was like, man, Dan, I don't know if I agree with you, and then I went back and I saw it, and I was like, oh crap, all right, So some of these guys are going to be here. Their job is to keep me from looking like a fool. I don't want to be the guy who has, Felix Enrique Uzama ranked as the 37th defensive end in his own draft class. So,
I don't
know. Jesus Christ. Yikes, Mike. I still cannot believe that is a real. And then the man tried to sell the rest of his draft rankings off of that take.
Listen, you got to hustle when you're hot. You got to hustle when you're hot. But no, that's
that was hot. That was so hot.
That's one of those situations.
This is why you need to be watching these videos, because you could see Kyle physically be triggered in real time by that comment.
Thought of this guy.
Look, man, I'm all for everybody having an opinion, but can we be at least mildly realistic with what we're saying? That's all I ask.
It's great to have different opinions.
That's all I'm looking for.
That's a little extra.
And by the way, if y'all think that we're overreacting to that, you guys should go search that thing out and look at all the professional, former players, scouts, everybody that watches this stuff and does this stuff, and read their reactions to that statement. That will handle that for you. But yeah, I mean, it's the key thing. And so you guys know, this didn't just we've been planning this for what, fellas, a year and a half, almost 2.
A lot of planning.
We've
lot of
been
thought.
trying to find the right people, the right name. The name took me forever, y'all. Y'all don't
There's a lot of-
understand.
there's a lot
The
of-
number of names I rejected from Kyle, I thought our friendship was gonna end.
I
I was like, no, and I wasn't contributing anything to the conversation. I was like, no,
Yeah,
no, not that one.
oh
No,
my
I don't
Lord.
like that one.
Diva.
And
The
then
number of
I was like, I'm
times.
trying to think of some, and I think I gave like 2 recommendations. I think
I
Kyle
tried
had
my
like
best. I have
40.
to tell you, it was
And-
hard. It was a tough one.
And
I was
also,
like,
you guys got to remember,
nah.
I'm trying to get these guys to both agree on one, which was even more difficult because
Yeah.
remember, the dude over here,
Oh,
Other
he's doing
way.
the arrows.
I
He's doing the
hate
arrows.
this. That way. That direction. This whole mirrored crap drives me insane. Does all of our graphics, all of the cool you see that makes everything look, I don't know why I just injured myself. All the cool shit you see that looks like the cool graphics, the draft cards that all the information that Tom's
Oh,
builds.
don't get me started on those draft cards.
Garrett built all of that. These logos, the layout. He does all of that. So when we're putting these things together, not only do we have to have a name that sounds good, it also has to be something he can do something with graphically and make it appealing to you guys and to others who may not listen to our regular stuff who don't know us. So with all that involved, you got to get that all kind of meshed. Otherwise, we found, as through experience, all of us have done this other places with other people at other times and other shows. It doesn't always work if you don't have those things focused on. And that goes back to wanting to really build this as custom and more curated, as Garrett put it, for you guys. And so that we reach you guys in a way that you may not be from others. So
Exactly.
we spent a lot of time building this, and they're going to put out an immense amount of content over the year that keeps you guys fully updated on, as he said, everything Tom listed earlier.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of that content coming out in Discord. We got a Substack coming out soon. I don't know how much we talked about that, but that'll be a big factor. Obviously,
and that's going to be totally free to start with now.
Yeah, we're gonna try to give you guys the best content that we can, while also keeping it very accessible in many different locations.
It'll start.
Yeah,
it'll start. We'll have a free tier for everyone.
Everybody, we will always have a free tier for everyone. That will never change. If you just want to hang out and talk to us and support and show love or hate or whatever it is that you want to do, there will always be a free tier. But we are going to have some other things that you can tier up, and you will get different experiences. It's the nature of, it's how this business works. It's how this stuff works. And it's a way to really, really build relationships with you guys, because I'll be 100% with you. One of the reasons that I'm still on Twitter is the relationships I've built with other fans and other friends in this community and this other group. It's a very different place. The Kingdom is very different than a lot of fan bases that because as a Kansas person who follows a ton of different sports, most of my teams are not local because there's not a lot of local teams around here in pro sports, guys. So that said, I'm in a lot of different communities and a lot of different fans, and I used to run socials for different fan bases and do all kinds of stuff at other networks. Chiefs Kingdom is very, very different. No matter what all the people from the outside who don't know what it's like and aren't in it and want to talk all the time, I did it again, want to talk shit all the time and run their mouths and whatever. They don't know. They've not been a part of it. They don't know what it's like. This community is a great thing. Does it have its bumps and its silliness and some folks that we probably wish were elsewhere or did other things or thought a little differently? Of course, that's society. That's how it is all the time. But being able to have those conversations and have actual discourse and discussion. Hey, discourse. You know why they called the app Discord? Just a thought, guys.
Maybe that word.
Yeah, and like Kyle said, there's always going to be some bad apples in a bunch, and like the old expression says, you can't build a kingdom without robbing some banks. So
That's good. That's good.
That's a
I
fact.
just made that up.
That our
Yeah,
It's
catchphrase?
also
Is
true.
that our catchphrase? Hello.
It's also true.
Got him
You
banked.
can't build a kingdom without. Look at that. There it is.
Yeah.
There's a tagline.
You want to call it coffers, you want to call it banks, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, but go back and look through history. Tom's not wrong. How are kingdoms built?
And this is why we need the Discord, because we are going to get into so many other conversations.
Yeah.
So
we need-
many.
And maybe
So
especially for
put
the
a bow.
catchphrase. That might be the biggest thing we need the Discord for.
Yeah,
You guys
we're
are gonna have to
gonna
help us
love
with
it.
that because we're struggling at the
Catchphrase,
moment. If you
contest.
couldn't tell.
So,
All right.
to put a bow on the draft thing, one other thing that's important, we are also focusing on the process of watching prospects. We want to give you guys resources to do that.
Yeah.
We want to let you guys kind of see inside our process. None of us are professional scouts. None of us have whatever, but we have put a lot of our own personal times into growing this and into learning about the game of football and trying to figure this out. And we want to welcome people into those spaces. Again, I shout out to Dan Harms, who is a great mind, and when it comes to draft stuff, and him and Ryan over at RGR, like they're phenomenal. And
They're extremely generous with their time on this same
they
kind of
are
stuff.
extremely generous with their time. Same thing, we're lucky even in the draft side of Chiefs, content creators. We have a lot of good ones.
The
So
fellas
we're
over at
thankful-
KCSN are excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent at it. It's one of the better draft guides that you can find for any team anywhere. Garrett's wearing a KCSN shirt right now.
Yeah, shout out
Absolutely.
BJ Kissel for giving me this.
We
Thank you, BJ.
we love the ability to be in this space and be able to give you guys some different things and being able to, like Tom said, we want you guys to see the processes and see some of this stuff so that hey guys, why does everybody have a giant problem with PFF? You can't see what their processes are. They just put out random ass ratings and nobody knows where the shit came from, and it makes no logical sense, right?
I mean, not even a
Okay.
little bit of sense.
So if we do that, you're going to say the same stuff about us. What does that benefit us? How does that help us? How does that help you guys? How does that help anything? It doesn't.
and we want you to be able to join the conversation. And I've talked to Randy and Josh both about, a lot of times you'll hear terms thrown around, and it's like you have to try to figure out what they're talking about, and we don't want it to be that way. We want it to be, hey, this is, we can say it, you can see it, we understand it, we decide if it's going well or not. So I'm extremely excited to work with those guys. During the season, our content will be a little bit more sporadic. I think we're going to start kind of looking more like maybe 1 or 2 podcasts a month. And that'll also just depend on the demand and the interaction, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to be working
behind. You guys can dictate
the scenes.
exactly how much we do, because if you guys want more and continue to consume it and want to and do that, we're happy to put it out for you.
Yeah.
And we'll give it to you, and it's going to come out in different ways, especially with this draft stuff, guys. Some of the stuff I was talking about earlier with the TikTok and the YouTube shorts and the Instagram videos, there's going to be stuff on there that's not available other places, because that's the only place we can do some of this, like I said earlier. And the draft stuff, there's a lot of things we can do with those platforms with that draft content.
Yeah. So a lot of exciting things happening, and we are pumped for it all.
So
we are climbing up on time here, guys.
Should we drop the last thing? Should we drop the last
about
thing?
ourselves here? So
we drop the last thing that we're releasing. We're putting out. So I'm still. You guys heard me talk about how long a name took for the recon show that we're doing. We will have a new segment, a new little piece of content that gets its own name and its own deal. A friend of ours, Josh Kimmel, is going to be doing specific Chiefs fantasy content and some overall fantasy content for you guys a couple times a week, usually before the Thursday night game and before the Saturday games. He has his own huge fantasy show, OUS Fantasy. They do hour and a half, multiple long podcasts where they cover the whole. If you guys want to dig into that, go see him over there. He will have some content. He will have some content with us over here that is geared towards what you guys want to know and see. That will be a part of the TikTok and Instagram and the Discord. There will be different things for that in those locations, and you'll get to interact with him on those. Expect to see him and Dan Harms talk some because of the fantasy interaction there. Dan's a huge fantasy guy as well as being a big draft person. So we've got another thing coming there.
Yeah.
I'm playing with some names. I'm gonna have to run them through my editorial team over here and get some approvals. But I'm working on some stuff there, and that will be coming out pretty quick here because you got fantasy drafts coming up, or already happening in some instances.
Yeah,
if you're really into it,
people are really into fantasy.
Oh, it's a huge deal,
Yeah.
and with that
OUS
same
guys,
thing,
they're really good at fantasy.
With that same thing and with that same kind of content in that same vein, we talked about a little bit earlier, there's going to be some betting content that is on here as well. And that is going to be more of a conglomerate amongst all of us.
Some money. Yeah.
It's going to be a conglomerate amongst all of us. We're going to be working on putting some stuff together for that. And there's going to be some picks for you because we have some friends at a couple of places that allow us to give you guys picks in an easy to digest form and be able to see our hit and miss records and see where we're at and see what we're doing. So it'll track all that. You can tell if you want to roll with us. If you don't, you'll see it. So it's all going to be geared towards you guys and what you guys want. And it doesn't have to, and on the fantasy side and on the betting side, it doesn't necessarily all have to be geared Chiefs. We are going to be able to do some little bit of diversity in that category if you guys want to go down that road as well. But the Discord will help a ton in that as well. So that's the last thing we really have to share with you guys about the new stuff that's out right now. I still have some more stuff we're working on behind the scenes.
There's always more. You know,
you always got to be. We always got to be growing and developing and looking at different ways.
Good plans for this season. We really want this 2023 season to be a really solid season for the Kingdom Says pod as a whole. You know, we want to take this thing to another level. Yeah. Oh, the Chiefs.
I'd like to see her. We'd like to see her run it back to her without necessarily running it back with the same.
Yeah, but don't use that motto again. We tried.
Yeah, I know. I know. I've been asked a couple times, and I just want to clear the air so we don't get asked more throughout the season. So our plan for this year is kind of laid out. We aren't projecting a show where Scout just sits on the camera for hours on end until early 2024. So stay tuned for that. He'll get his own show.
We might even have a full 24-hour live dog session where we just keep the dogs on camera
for cam in the corner next to Tom right down there.
Yeah, a little scout cam. Yeah, we're working on it.
I got a tank on the floor over here too. Yeah. Oh, look, he just stood up because I said his name. Like, there he is.
That's where it's important to like, subscribe, share, make sure you're reviewing, help us get exposed to the world, help us, when we get this.
We always want to be exposed. So we love exposed.
That's why we're doing these in the nude. Again, audio listeners, if you're not on YouTube, why have you not gotten there yet?
You have already missed most of the nude. Yeah, but
not everything that is said on this podcast is 100% accurate. We should put that out as a disclaimer already. I mean, I guess if you guys have been listening to us for a while, you know that already. But if you're new here,
not good for your health.
we're here to have a good time. We're not, all suits and ties and talking.
If you couldn't tell, we're having a good time. I'm currently wearing a cutoff jersey.
Says podcast.
I'm not even wearing pants.
That may or may not be true, but we represent the kingdom, like Chiefs Kingdom. We are trying to be the voice for the kingdom. So that's kind of the goal with our podcast. We're not going to have as much of the the segments and the.
There'll be plenty of X's and O's and breaking downy stuff, and everybody loves to get that deep. But we can also do more of that to those who want that in the Discord. You're going to hear us talk about Discord a lot. Sure. I know we're not going to shill a lot of things, but you're going to hear us talk about that Discord a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's going to, for the 1500th time this podcast, it's going to give us the ability to work with you guys to give you guys what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing, Garrett.
What do you got, Tom?
Oh, do you know off the top of your head what has been our most listened to episode of all time?
I do know which one that is actually. It's the it was the Super Bowl preview before Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. And how many listens did we get on that one?
That one was pretty
good. It was across multiple platforms, and I know it was quite large on all of the platforms it was out on.
We still got multiple. We're
talking
that, all
4 digits.
We still get listens to that pod episode, and I'm not 100% sure why, but we still get pod listens to that episode.
Yeah, it's one of our most listened to episodes still.
I was gonna say if this episode can break that by the end of July. End of July. I'll tell you what, if this episode breaks the top 10. Or whatever not top 10, top 5. Whenever this episode gets into the top 5, I'll do a whole episode in a suit and tie.
There you go. Suit and
On
tie
purpose.
Tom.
I don't know that I've
Clean
ever
out.
seen you in a suit and tie. That might be interesting.
That might
I
be
do clean up.
very
It
dapper.
is the thing that
Yeah.
happens.
Very dapper man.
Guys, if you haven't, go watch one of the old, like one of our first YouTube episodes where he still looks like a billy goat, and then go watch this episode
Go
again
compare.
a second
I mean, the
time and
beard was
compare the beard, and then we have to do whether or not he can ever
Yeah.
shave it again.
Just the last
It'll come
episode
back.
that we
It'll
did
get
before
back.
this, I had the beard and now I don't.
You do realize that because you basically didn't shave that the entirety of last year, then they won the Super Bowl, you have to do that again this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. It's growing back.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like you
Yeah.
understand that you cannot once training camp starts. So if you're gonna do anything to it, you better do it before training
No,
camp
no,
starts.
Mine,
it's-
Because
it's-
once the year starts,
it's not gonna really.
You can't be. We're doing no shave seasons with Tom
No
at this.
shave
It's not no shave
season.
November. It's no shave
Yeah,
all
the whole
year with
season
Tom
until we win the
because
Super Bowl.
yeah.
Again.
Unless Manscaped comes back as a
Yeah,
sponsor,
again.
we'll be good. All
Eh,
right.
That's a
Wouldn't use that
different
in your
area.
face,
No
probably.
comment.
Yeah, probably wouldn't use that in your face like some guy once did. But yeah.
Oh God, I remember that. Jesus.
Oh jeez. All right, guys. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for our time here. This is a.
Wait a
real fun
minute. We
episode.
just blew up. Just kidding.
What
We have to briefly talk about the boys. We said we were going to talk
We
about the
did.
Kingdom
We were gonna-
Kingdom
We did.
Cast
Yeah,
poll, and
that's
I
true.
really want to talk about it because it's really interesting to me. The fellas and lady over at Kingdom Cast have put out a bracket with Mahomes throws, and it's an
They're so
excellent.
much better at this stuff. Like, why did we think of that?
They're pretty good at this stuff.
It's an excellent play into what this guy is. Like Seth does a really good job of he's done a couple different versions of Mahomes' best throws in his career. Here's the problem. He has like 5 a year. So
Yeah.
keeping 10 to 15 for his whole career is going to become real hard. But this bracket is just for the 23 season, I believe, and it's absolutely
Yes,
excellent.
Only for the 2023, yeah. But there's some phenomenal throws on there that are very underrated. I mean, it's crazy. Like such a long season, you really forget some of these throws, and like there's some.
There are 3 or 4. I was
There's
like,
some
what throw
spectacular
are they
ones.
talking? Because when they listed on the bracket, you read the bracket and you're looking at it, you're like, all right, which throw is that from that game though? Because there's like
Right,
4.
like week 6, and you're like, I don't quite remember that. But then they have all the videos of all the throws, and you're like,
Yeah,
it's a good time. So definitely hop over to Kingdom Cast's Twitter at Kingdom Cast and go cast your votes, and that's going to be a very interesting bracket to follow with the guys.
All I gotta say is that 3 seed better be the one to MVS in the end zone when he's on his butt and doesn't even think he's getting the ball.
Hold on, time out. Did the Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown pass against the Buccaneers not make the bracket?
I
gotta go. I gotta go.
You better message country.
I'm gonna call him right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that
But
answers that
being
question.
said, this has been a great episode. We've got, like we talked about this whole episode, we've got a lot talked about. We got a lot planned. A lot of guests that we're going to hopefully get on. And yeah, we're just going to keep on doing this thing for Chiefs Kingdom, guys.
Yes,
we really appreciate all the support. Once again, you guys are the reason that we continue to do this. We really appreciate if you guys would like, follow, subscribe. YouTube is the biggest thing for us right now. Get Kingdom Says Pod on there. And then, all of our socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, at Kingdom Says Pod.
All the same
on all
handles,
of them.
guys, for the most part. I don't
got
think there's
we got our
anyone that's different
personals.
right now.
Yeah, we got our personals at KThen16, at Garrett720, and at ArrowheadTom.
Y'all,
Definitely
if
check
you're
out our
following us on our
socials.
personals, please go follow the show.
There's a lot
On the pod.
Our
I don't
show's
care
content
which
probably a lot
personal.
better than all of our
It
socials.
absolutely
Yeah,
is.
our
You don't
personals.
want to. Most of the
Please.
time, our socials is just ridiculous
Unless you
nonsense
go on
commentary
Tom's
about random
Threads,
stuff.
in which case you will see a picture of Scout. So
Yes.
that's worth a look. But
True.
yeah, that will about do it for this episode. We will be back next week, right? We're gonna be back
Yep.
next week.
We're rolling.
We are
It's
rolling.
full blown.
We're
Ready to
gonna
go.
at least one episode a week up until the season, and then we'll probably ramp up from there, maybe even sooner, because training camp is right around the corner here. at the
I
end of the month.
expect to see some of your faces at training camp because I intend on attending.
There's gonna be some faces there. Probably 2 of these faces. Probably 2 of these faces.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm
not
sure
my
2
face,
of our
but
faces.
maybe my face. I don't know.
We'll see.
about to see.
We'll figure it
see.
out.
We'll probably save that for like a game. But anyways, thank you all so much for listening to this very long episode about just us. I know this isn't really the Chiefs-centered content as much, but
It's
you
about
know,
you guys, though.
yeah,
Realistically,
it's really
I mean,
about you guys and building the relationship with you guys. Because at the end of the day, there's so much Chiefs content to consume. The reason that you listen to us is because you have a connection with us, and we appreciate it. So we're going to continue to strengthen that. We're going to continue to build that bond with you guys, the audience, and the whole entire Chiefs kingdom, and just, have a really great 2023 season. So with that being said, once again, thank you all for listening and watching to this one, and we will see you guys next week.